Hi everyone. Looks like we've all joined. So welcome to Q Market's first innovation webinar of 2019. My name is Elliot Wilkins and I'm the marketing manager for Q Markets based out of the UK. So before we get started, I'd just like to thank all of you for joining us today. We're very excited to share this story with you and we're happy to have some excellent guest speakers who will be sharing their insights. So this includes James Addis and Jessica Birch, who are the project leaders from TSYS. We have Sebastian Appelt, who is the managing partner for Above and Beyond Consulting, joining us from Dallas. And finally, from Q Markets, we have our co-founder, Michael Stilger, who is dialing in from Frankfurt, and Steve Reed, who is actually also joining us from Dallas. So without further ado, I'll hand over to my colleague, Steve, who's going to give a short introduction and some background information before we dive into this project. If any of you have any questions for our speakers today, please don't hesitate to leave them below. If we're not able to address them during the Q&A at the end of this webinar, we'll be sure to follow up with you via email afterwards. Okay, so over to Steve.
Thanks, Elliot. First and foremost, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. And just looking at the attendee list, it's great to have a really diverse group of corporate leaders take an interest in this project. Between the speakers, the attendees, we should really have a great session. So just as a heads up, we look forward to questions that you share at the end, and we'll ask for the panels to address those at that time. So as VP of Innovation for Q Markets in the US, I meet people every day with all sorts of different use cases, unique to their company and to their culture. Some examples: new products, process improvement, becoming more customer-centric, cost savings, creating a culture of innovation, and many other use cases. For some companies, this is too much for an idea management vendor. Just the prospect of tackling a broad array of use cases can be intimidating. But at Q Markets, this is what we love most. As you'll see over the course of this webinar series, the one thing that separates Q Markets is the flexibility of our software. When Above and Beyond decided to move their process to a software-driven process, which would be built with their unique methodology, we were the only choice. And today, TSYS, our featured company, will share more about this and best practices around the process. As part of the value of learning from these innovation workshops, we feel the best way to experience it is actually for you guys to use it yourself. So as a takeaway today, we're giving everyone in attendance a 30-day personalized pilot of our software. And when I say personalized, I don't mean your logo. We're saying much more than that. We're also able to uniquely configure a workflow to fit your company's specific processes and for you to use this with your internal team, and that's absolutely free. So look out for an email at the end of this session with all the details. And again, want to thank everyone for joining at this point. Then Sebastian, over to you.
Thank you, Steve. Hi, everyone, and thanks Q Market for the invitation and allowing us to be part of this. My name is Sebastian Appelt. I'm one of the three partners at Above and Beyond. We've been in the market for more than 20 years. Our focus is to bring out the best in people, and what we're going to see today is one of those products that it's at the top of this goal, and we're really excited about this process and how can we help companies in managing innovation and process improvement. Just as a quick reference, we focus on three key elements that we consider are critical for a company's success. Those are great leadership, engaged employees, and culture. Wow, and the history and the story that you're going to see today, it concentrates on getting the best from the employees, getting their ideas, focusing on involving them in process improvement, being part of it, and hope we can excite you on this process and help you to get there through this amazing product. Some of the customers that we've been working with in our history, and after that, I would like to introduce my two really good friends and clients and partners in this process, Jessica and James. They've been a critical aspect of this journey. We've been into this journey with TSYS for the last 3 years. It's been really incredible, and excited to share what we've done with this partnership over the last 3 years. So, Jess, James?
All right. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Jessica Birch, and at the risk of sharing my age, I'm going to let you know that I've been at TSYS for almost 20 years now, and I've worked in every aspect of our business, from our call centers to implementing and onboarding new clients. I'm very passionate about helping team members embrace continuous process improvement, and I'm excited to share our approach with you guys today.
Hi, everyone. My name is James Addis. I've been with TSYS 15 years, so I'm a little junior to Jessica in terms of tenure. I am based in Columbus, Georgia at our headquarters. My main role is really around program management along with Jessica for the WOW program, and I also spend a significant amount of time training and coaching change agents and leaders in lean tools.
Awesome.
So just a little bit of background about TSYS in case you don't know. We went public in 1983 as a payments processor, and since then we've experienced phenomenal growth. And so today we have clients in over 80 countries, over 400 partners and clients. We do about 28 billion transactions a year, and we have over 13,000 employees whom we call team members all over the globe.
And at TSYS, we keep money moving. We are leaders across the payment spectrum, and we have a long history of shaping the world of payments, like James said, since 1983. We serve issuers, which are financial institutions who use our solutions to power their payment services. We also serve merchants. We offer businesses a variety of ways to accept payments. And we also provide consumers with options to help people to help manage their money.
Great, thanks, guys. So from a dynamic perspective, we chose to go from like an interview type of presentation. So I'm going to be asking James and Jess some of the key questions that will help you understand the process that we've been through. So James, this crowdsourced process improvement, how did it all started? Why TSYS decided to embark on a process like this?
Sure. Well, I was in a mergers and acquisitions role a couple of years ago, and that's when I met Patty Watson, our new CIO at the time. And I really got excited when I learned about Patty's experience with continuous improvement, and more importantly, her passion for continuous improvement. And she's really passionate about harnessing the power of team members and employees in continuous improvement. And so that became the bedrock of the crowdsourcing strategy here at TSYS.
Perfect. So I'm sure that when this started, not everything was perfect, and you had to overcome some challenges. So from your perspective and your experience, what were those employee engagement challenges that you were facing?
Well, first of all, we had 3,000 to 4,000 technology employees to engage across the globe. So in and of itself, that was a significant challenge. As you probably picked up from Jessica and my introduction, many of our team members at TSYS are long tenured. And while that's good, TSYS is a great place to work and team members want to stay. The challenge is that when you ask those tenured employees to change their thinking, that's when you can run into issues. And, you know, I suspect like most companies, TSYS had tried other continuous improvement programs like Six Sigma and the like, and those just never delivered the promised results and the positive impacts to team members. So I think our team members were cynical, like most employees are at this point, and they view any kind of process improvement as just another flavor of the month. And just culturally at TSYS, we are great at responding to client issues and needs, but we knew long term we needed to have true problem solving capabilities to sustain our culture.
Perfect, perfect. So what did you decide to do?
Well, that's when Patty reached out, Sebastian, to you and Andrew at Above and Beyond for the Project WOW solution. I believe she had worked with you guys at a previous company with very successful results. And so she wanted your help in coming up with a customized solution for TSYS. And Seth, it's probably a good point to maybe describe WOW to the audience.
Of course. So the idea of WOW, it actually it's based on 4 key elements. One of them is about identifying waste, and that's why WOW, it's called War on Waste also. It stands for War on Waste. Another aspect of WOW is what we call WOW Your Customers, and that's the innovation piece, uncovering ideas, getting in front of your customers and getting real-time feedback on how can they improve that relationship, how can a company improve their processes, etc. The third key element, it's about engaging people. The crowdsourcing aspect of this, it's critical for the success. And we believe this is one of the key elements that makes this type of program different than any other one. This focuses on giving people the right skills, giving people the right time and exposure for them to share what are their pain points, to share what they're having in their minds. They've been at the company for a long time. So what we experience is that most of the time, the answers are at the base of the pyramid, and this process actually engages them in that process, in that environment. The fourth and not least element is about what we call the Talent Sandbox. The way we organize and define this program is that someone needs to lead and implement all of these ideas and potential opportunities that employees bring to the table. And what we've experienced during years of trying to do this with the best approach is that sometimes we generate a lot of ideas, but then they don't get to the implementation stage. So for that, we bring key people from different parts of the organization. Could be leaders, could be frontline employees or team members, and we engage them in a process of leading and implementing all of these suggestions, ideas, or problems. Normally, it includes a talent process. And so basically, we call this the sandbox because they can actually practice their skills. So these are the 4 key elements that make WOW such a powerful tool. Now, let's go back to you guys, and it would be great to walk the audience through the key components of at least what we started calling WOW 1.0. As you go through this presentation, you'll see that it's been an iterative process in which we have evolved, and this program changed from year to year to get to the objective. So, James, can you walk us through the key components?
Sure. So the first step was the change agents. And these are the individual contributors who really drive the WOW projects to get results. And so it's really critical to have them engaged in WOW. That we really look for individual contributors who have the energy and passion and grit to drive change. And so getting these change agents identified and then training them in basic lean problem solving and leadership tools like value stream mapping and root cause analysis, that was a critical first step in our journey.
Fantastic. And Jessica, you actually were part of that first group of people that been through the training. So can you share with the audience your experience?
Of course. So when I started the WOW training, I attended that for the first time, I had no idea really what the concept was about. And when Patty walked in, I was like, okay, well, this is something serious because we have a C-level person coming into this training. And the more we learned and found out that Patty supported us, she empowered all of us to be leaders of change. It wasn't, it was the shift in our thinking that not only can we make change happen and better some of the processes that we have, but we had that support that was right there in the room with us. And some of the things that I took away from that training was, I was constantly meeting new people. So it really stepped up my leadership skills. I had to learn how to speak with everyone from facilities to, again, those C-level executives. I learned how to influence others, how to have those crucial conversations. Because with change, you know, as James is saying, we have a lot of tenured people here at TSYS. And sometimes when you walk in and you have to have a discussion about something they built, you know, a while back, they're not as open to that conversation to say we need to tweak it, right? So I learned to have those conversations, and also to accept that there are some people who just don't want to move forward, right? Sometimes you're just not going to be able to have those easy conversations with folks to do what it takes. But most importantly, I saw the gratefulness from team members. Whenever we make a change and I could go out and say, you know, we could eliminate this waste and give you some time back, just that gratefulness, and it became second nature. Like, why wouldn't anyone want to take this approach to any problem that you're trying to solve? And that's how I knew that, you know, this is the path for me as I continue to lead others.
Awesome, great. And so step one was, it seems to be all about building capabilities. Step one, it's a critical process because if you don't build the capabilities, then who's going to implement this? Who will be there to take on the opportunities or the ideas and move it forward? This is a critical step. Now, what happens on step two, James?
So once we identify those individuals and build capabilities, we then need to identify the projects that those individuals are going to drive. And so we had wow sessions, and these were designed to engage all the team members in a face-to-face collaborative environment. And really, it gave employees and team members a forum to share their concerns. But it was done in a way that was constructive, and it was done in a way that was very positive. And it also signaled that Patty and her leadership team were really serious about addressing those team member concerns. While the WOW sessions were also a great opportunity to communicate and promote the program, WOW. And at the beginning, these sessions were mandatory. And what we found was that really the excitement and engagement of team members really escalated once we started making changes based on the input that these team members provided in the WOW sessions.
Perfect. So on that note, how did the employees receive this? What was the transition?
Well, most of the time the employees would come into the WOW sessions, they would be a little reluctant. They were, you know, like I said before, they were probably a little cynical that this was a program of the month. But based on the way the WOW process worked in these sessions, it was a very fun and engaging process. And so the team members really got into it once we got into the WOW process.
Awesome. And so I still remember this sessions that we were delivering, and at the end of the day, we ended up finding this all of these post-it notes with ideas and everything. Can you explain what these two pictures show?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we had WOW sessions at many locations. These two images are just the output of just two of those WOW sessions at two different locations. And each post-it note represents a pain point or an idea that a team member contributed to in the WOW session. And so you can start to appreciate how complex managing all this can become because these are just two sessions. And again, we had sessions across the globe. So it can be a very complex way to manage all the input.
I still remember. So step one, building capabilities. Step two, finding opportunities to improve across the company. What was step three then?
The third step was what we call our validation step. And it was really aimed at ensuring senior leaders are bought into and give permission to the change agents to implement the solutions for their given problems. And we call this our red light, green light process. And essentially, a change agent, when they're ready, has the opportunity every 2 weeks to present his or her project to Patty and her senior leadership team. And if Patty and the team give the green light, then an executive sponsor at Patty's level is assigned to the project to make sure that the change agent has the support they need to implement. And the preference is always to implement within 90 days. And I'll point out that not all of our WOW initiatives go through this process. We have also initiatives we call quick hits or fast tracks. Those most of the time just require a decision maybe at a lower level. So those don't go through this process because we always want to push forward and move things quickly if possible.
Perfect, perfect. So 3 basic steps: building capabilities, finding opportunities, and then giving the opportunity to those change agents and teams to get exposed to the executive team and move things forward in a fast way. Those are definitely key 3 components of our process. So Jess, I guess you're only 2 people running with this, and after the first year, with all those Post-it notes, all of those things that you were, how did you manage to build a network, and who are part of that network out there that are supporting you on this process?
Good question. So having a solid network is key. And because we're global, we have to ensure that we have site leaders at all of our different offices that are supportive of WOW. We have to make sure that they're engaged, they're keeping their team members engaged, because like you said, team of 2, James and I can't be everywhere all at once. So WOW is a little bit different. So for example, James mentioned when we tried, we did the Six Sigma type of initiative, but in those situations, you only have a certain group of people that are experts and the rest follow. With WOW is different. We have team members and leaders. They all are encouraged and empowered to change their work and look for efficiencies. Look for efficiencies and inefficiencies. Everyone is responsible for their part in process improvement. The communication is key. I work on a lot of the communications with all of our technology team members. We do weekly updates to share with teams what's going on. I do a monthly recap as well as quarterly recaps. I do a lot of polls. What's not working for team members? What is working? Give us that feedback. So being able to have that open communication and having team members share their knowledge and gives us an inside look at some of the trending that we see across locations. As well as to maintain that team member engagement. Overall, we just have to keep training, coaching, and manage the overall direction of the program.
Perfect. So after 1 year of implementation, and I still remember why we decided to call WOW 1.0. It's when we sat together, we said, okay, how do we measure impact? How do we measure that this program is working? And we kind of decided that, okay, let's test this 1 year, and if it gets traction, we'll continue with the process. So, James, can you walk us through the outcomes, the reach that this program had, and what you got from it?
Certainly. So, stage 1 was basically implementing the WOW process in Columbus, Georgia, which is our headquarters, and we have a lot of our team members based here in Columbus. And then the next phase was replicating what we did as well as learned from the Columbus pilot in all our other major locations. So we went to India, Broomfield, Colorado, Arizona, Atlanta, the UK, as well as Cyprus. And the outcome was basically we reached and engaged over 3,000 of our technology team members across the globe, which was just amazing. No one had ever done anything like that at TSYS before. And we also trained over 100 change agents and leaders to drive these initiatives and look for resolving waste in their areas. In terms of projects, we got at least 50 to 60 A3s out of these WOW sessions. And A3s are just more the complex lean efforts and projects that we identified. But we also had dozens and dozens of what we call fast tracks, those quick hits that didn't necessarily need all the rigor of the A3 lean problem solving. And the other thing we found is that there was a lot of good work being done in different departments to help resolve some of the pain points that team members were bringing up. It's just no one knew about it. And so WOW was a great opportunity to communicate and collaborate about those initiatives across the team member base.
Perfect. Let's share with the audience some of the some examples of what you got from this.
So we had a myriad of projects, some low-hanging fruit, some soft savings productivity, some hard savings, and some just team member engagement. This is a good example of low-hanging fruit, and a team member was just questioning if we were using the right teleconference method. And what she found was about 80% of the time, team members could have used a lower cost teleconference option. And so she made some changes, got approval from management, did a lot of education and communication, and realized some telecom savings as a result of that. This project talks about the streamlining a process to onboard clients. And it was really about internal efficiencies, but the benefit of streamlining the process was that we were also able to deliver to our clients faster. And so it was really a good win-win. And what we realized was about a 50% reduction in the lead time. And I think just as important, in the lower right-hand corner, you see a verbatim comment from our clients. And that's the type of feedback that really got our senior leaders' attention, because we're so focused on client and being responsive. We also had some hard dollar savings projects. And this project was really about our network infrastructure team and challenging some of the policies that had been put in place before WOW. And the analysis showed that we spent money where in some cases where we didn't need to. And so this project was about right-sizing the policy based on risk and location. And this realized material savings and reduced budget. So we counted this as certainly a hard dollar savings win. And again, not everything is productivity and hard dollars. We also had projects that were just the right thing to do to eliminate team member frustrations. This project was based in our Pune, India office, and there was a lot of time wasted and a lot of frustration of our team members there as they went out to get lunch. And so this significantly reduced the amount of time and frustration team members spent on that. As you can see in the lower right-hand corner, our team members there were very happy. And the solution ended up being just a simple fix that did not result in any additional cost to TSYS. So it was a good win all around for us.
That's great. That's great. Awesome. So I guess that these are some of the examples that after 1 year of implementation of the WOW 1.0, these examples are great. But at the same time, I guess administrating all of this, all of those Post-it notes, feedback from people, reaching out to 4,000 employees. I mean, that must be a really, really administration nightmare. So what was missing?
What we realized is while the face-to-face WOW sessions were very important for the initial engagement, like Sebastian said, just administering all those thousands of Post-it notes was just a nightmare. And keep in mind, to continue the engagement, we also had to regularly communicate with team members. And that was a big hassle and an inefficiency for Jessica and myself. And of course, there was also cost for travel and time spent in these face-to-face WOW sessions. And again, I think you get a good perspective on the management nightmare just by thinking back to all those Post-it notes on the previous image. And so we realized that we needed a solution to help address these inefficiencies. And that's when we reached out to Sebastian and Andrew at Above and Beyond to help us come up with a solution.
So for this part, we decided that, like Jane said, we needed something that helped us streamline this, and looking for a technology that can actually make this process sustainable for obviously TSYS and some other of our customers. So that's where we started to look for different firms globally, looking for different solutions, and that's where we came across Q Markets, which at the end of the day was the best thing that we've seen in the market. It was so easy to use, fast implementation, and that's when we met Steve and the team, and we decided to move forward. This started this started 2 years ago already. Between James, Jessica, Steve, the team, and ourselves, we decided to customize a solution that will help TSYS to have this global reach out, have this global footprint, and be able to get feedback from all of their employees. But Jess, you're actually the expert on this. You are the one that is using the system. You are the one that with Q Markets help customize this. So can you tell us about it, how you use it, what are the benefits, etc.?
Okay. While designing the overall look and feel of the Q Market software, we kept one key component in mind, which was flexibility. We needed the ability to make ad hoc changes to campaigns to add team members, build new campaigns to gather feedback on specific topics, and the ability to communicate with team members from within the site. We also, on the other end, that's for collecting the data, we also needed to provide output and metrics to our leadership team. So we needed the ability to report. And Q Markets provides us with a plethora of data that we can use for that type of reporting. Overall, I feel that Q Markets has allowed us to bring team members together in a centralized location to share their pain points. We're able to hear what they're struggling with across the globe. They can knowledge share, advise if their team already has a solution that works, and help us prioritize the impact by voting. Throw in the project management capabilities, and it truly is a one-stop shop for continuous process improvement.
So what are the 4 avenues that you use today and how you apply the software?
Okay, so the 4 avenues we have, if you're looking, so we'll start with the WOW Challenge. WOW Challenge is a campaign, and for those that aren't familiar at all with Q Markets, a campaign is a type of bucket, if you will, that we assign team members to, and they can, provide their feedback with opportunities and give us additional documentation if we need it. But the WOW Challenges were more of the key items that perhaps we wanted a bit more detail on. So they could be from executives, they could be from someone over a team, and they wanted to gather feedback specific to what they're working on. So we can publish those. We also hold WOW sessions. So like James was talking about all the sticky notes on the wall, we've gotten rid of the sticky notes, and I can't tell you how great that is. We now hold WOW sessions. We could even do it virtually, and it's all within the site. Team members can log in, and they put their pain points in, their ideas in, and we're allowed, we're able to let them vote. So right during the session, so we can already see coming out of that, what are the biggest priorities for those team members. We also have grassroots, and grassroots focuses more on, like James was talking about the Pune with the cafeteria. It's things that are specific to team members' locations and their work environment. So things we classify grassroots are things that would be like HR, compensation, parks, community involvement, things like that. Something that we can work on to add value to the actual work environment for team members. Last but not least, this is our biggest open campaign, and this is what we call our War on Waste campaign. This is open to every team member in our technology organization around the globe, and this is where most team members go to put in their pain points about processes, tools or applications, anything that's going on. This is the biggest campaign that's used. It really, having all these different methods inside the tool, it allows us to brainstorm and share opportunities, and overall, it encourages knowledge sharing and provides us that view no matter where team members are. Again, we can see those common trends around the globe.
Awesome, awesome.
So the next slide, this is our homepage. So when team members log into the Q Market site here at TSYS, this is the War on Waste. Again, that's our biggest one. And as you can see, we're focused on eliminating waste with this campaign. This is where team members go in and submit their pain points.
Awesome.
And how they do that is, this is our submission form. As you can see, we kept it very simple. We aren't looking for solutions at this stage. We make it clear to team members that we're only looking for specific pain points. We have a lot of brilliant team members here at TSYS. Couple that with the urgency of agile methodologies and modernization, and solutions are second nature for many. Our job is to cause pause and an examination of the specific problem to ensure that they understand the entire process prior to implementing a solution. Once the submission has X number of votes and a rating, we move it to the next steps in the process where we assign a trained change agent to work with team members. We use the project management tool within the site to ensure documentation is centralized as well. And there are several states in the process flow, and we use them for requesting SME input, reviewing opportunities with committees, and also managing our work in progress.
That's awesome. And how do you manage to engage people to participate?
One of the other perks of Q Markets that we utilize a lot here at TSYS is it's got a gamification rewards aspect to it. So we built in, we decided to use that, and we use a point system. So as team members become more engaged in the site, they'll get points for voting or commenting, and we review that and we look at it, and we have different tiers. And once they reach certain tiers, we've actually integrated that to our internal rewards and recognition system. And so we're able to use the information from the Q Markets tool to go ahead and recognize those team members who are really going above and beyond.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. This has been great. It may trigger some questions to the audience, so we'll wait for the Q&A. Now, James and Jess, we've been, I think, 2.5 years within this process, and the outcomes I've been able to observe them, and they've been incredible. So, can you give us an overview of what you've seen in the last 2.5 years, the view from the executives, and more than anything, what you got from this? What's the ROI?
Sure. We overall have seen about a 14x ROI, and moving to the Q Markets software really helped us expedite those savings and returns. And I think you've seen from some of the projects that our clients are feeling the positive impact. Our senior leaders are certainly happy with the soft and hard savings. And I think just as importantly, our team members are excited in seeing the benefits and positive results to them. And, you know, with respect to the Q Markets software specifically, I think Jessica highlighted how it has helped us reduce our administration cost and effort. So now Jessica and I can spend more time on training and coaching change agents to drive projects as opposed to just administering. And I think at the end of the day, it also has helped engage and sustain team members going forward. So now, versus attending a face-to-face WOW session like we had before at prescribed locations, any team member at any time and at any place can now engage and collaborate in our WOW process thanks to the Q Markets software.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I guess this is because we preach on the continuous improvement process. So WOW 1.0 was certain goals, and WOW 2.0, I guess, once you learn and try to improve this process, what can you share with the audience of what you've learned, and what do you think the next steps are on this process?
Well, a couple of things come to mind. I think first and foremost, thinking about this as a multi-year journey and not an event is really important. You know, the savings are great, obviously, but this is really more about a cultural change that's going to drive long-term impacts as well. I think we realized after the first year that we have to have technology that enables us to effectively and efficiently have a global and far-reaching impact to team members. I would say executive leadership and sponsorship in the form of active engagement from that group is absolutely critical. Patty Watson's leadership and engagement and passion has really made the difference for the WOW efforts here. One of the things we realized also, and Jessica highlighted this on the gamification idea that she mentioned, is you have to be creative to kind of continuously encourage employees to participate. And that's why we really like the rewards functionality in the Q Markets software. And I think going forward, our biggest focus now is going from this concept of WOW as a project to WOW as a culture. In other words, WOW is not a project you do and check the box and then you're done. WOW is really about how do you continuously improve what you do on a day-to-day basis and making that part of the culture. And at the end of the day, this is a collective effort. It's not just Jessica and myself to get the results. You have to have the change agents who are engaged and passionate about the process. You have to have Patty Watson and her senior leaders engaged. You have to have really multiple levels of leadership engaged in sponsoring the process. And finally, you know, it was important for us to have Above and Beyond and Q Markets engaged. And so collectively, together, we were able to generate these impressive results.
Fantastic. So thanks so much, James. Thanks so much, Jessica, for sharing this. For us, it's been and it's been an amazing journey. We're happy that we could share this success and this business case, and looking forward to continue on this path. And we may have a WOW 3.0. So thanks, guys, for the time. Michael, I'll leave this next part to you.
Yes, thank you so much, James and Jessica and Sebastian. My name is Michael Stilger, and I'm sharing with you a couple of backgrounds on Q Markets. You've seen some very beautiful examples on how our software can really scale innovation, can scale best practices of continuous improvement and so on. So important is that you have a massive collective intelligence. You've seen a beautiful example now tapping into the collective wisdom of employees. Other customers of ours do this also and expand this for customers and business partners. So Sebastian and Jessica and James, that might be your 3.0, but there are great opportunities there. There's a great community that holds an amazing amount of knowledge and intelligence that lets you tap into some great experiences and knowledges between your business partners, your supply chain, your customers, and your employees. A couple of short slides about Q Markets. We have a global footprint, and also our customers are globally and in many different sections. So you can see that it's really the software is extremely flexible, as it was mentioned before by the TSYS team and by Sebastian, that there is a flexibility for every vertical market, for every industry and application. Now, I want to share a few more stories with you. I know you've come for the insights and you've heard some wonderful examples from the WOW process. I want to share a few more details. I want to share a few more stories. One of the largest financial organizations in the world, the largest in Europe, the customer of ours since 2015, and they're very, very focused on running idea challenges or campaigns, as you've heard earlier, on lean and continuous improvement, performance excellence topics. They're engaging employees in 20 countries across 4 languages, and it is an ongoing. It involves 20,000 employees at any time, and some of those ideas, you can see some of the statistics. They've recently over the last 2 years have come up with 650 chosen ideas, and a high level look at the participation, at the engagement, 4,700 votes, 2,600 comments. So this shows you the organization is engaged. They're building a culture of participation, a culture of engagement, and implementing 650 ideas. Another example is a large consumer goods company. They had the challenge that they were facing margin squeeze in high street retail environments, and running several calls for action, for ideas, running several challenges. The result they came up with, that they actually were able to come up with the idea of putting some of their products into the automotive industry. So this opened a completely new opportunity, a completely new way of business, moving away from a B2C model to a B2B model, and has generated now an amazing additional stream of income. A large European logistics company saw the opportunity to use drones. We all have heard much about artificial intelligence and the big delivery companies to use drones. They have put drones straight into action. And what it is actually doing, they're helping to transport medical supplies and medical analytics between the different medical institutions, which helps very much to reduce delivery time and in the end of the day to save lives and improve the health of people. Again and again, Q Markets is chosen by leading financial services companies to the best software solution to scale their wonderful innovation practices. Here's another example of how powerful use case of our software by engaging with the B2C customers, with retail banking customers, and offering the keep the change solution, which rounds up to the nearest dollars on all purchases on their debit card, and transferring the difference into a savings account. Now, this resulted into 700,000 new checking accounts, 1 million savings accounts, and 2.5 million customers in the first year. What a real amazing result just from coming from an idea. There are many other stories. Here's a leading digital payment provider that struggled to expand on their product range and find additional customers, and so they ran the campaign "Be the Customer," educating employees around the actual different services and methodologies they're using. And once the employees were convinced, they helped to improve the software. They helped to identify 300 bugs, and revenues with these changes, revenues grew within 18 months by 29%. So you can see the value of engaging your employees or your customers. Here, this was around customer centricity, around customer experience. Another large financial institution, how to make a retail bank more suitable for senior customers and for people with a handicap, and so bank managers wore these virtual reality suits and simulating handicaps and to find out what the customer experience was and what struggles needed to overcome, and again this paved the way for being one of the hottest retail banks in the US. So it's all about transforming ideas into results. And as Jessica and James and Sebastian have so beautifully shown, it's not enough to just collect ideas, but it's all about to monitor, filter, process, engage with the right people, and measure your results. And by doing so, you can again you can leverage ideas from your employees. You can leverage ideas from people around, companies around you, startups around you, scouting for successful startups. You can access your supply chain. This is a very hot topic. A lot of our customers are engaged in supply chain, building with their suppliers the perfect solution for the customer, and obviously directly going to the voice of the customer, so receiving ideas from your customers directly. So in many ways, we have been the best engagement in class software, a rich community engagement we have a massive amount of tools, crowd voting tools, advanced gamification, multilingual, multi-tenancy, custom branding, fully responsive, multi-use case running in parallel, which gives you a very strong tool to scale your innovation and continuous improvement efforts. That's it from my side. Again, a big thank you to Sebastian, and especially to James and Jessica from TSYS. And I'm handing over back over to Steve.
Great, thank you, Michael. And just for the sake of time here, we're just going to limit it to 2 questions. So, but appreciate the best practices that have been shared so far. So let's go ahead and start off with this first one here. As a mid-level manager within a large organization, what would be my first step towards launching this kind of a project?
Sure, Steve, this is James. Jessica and I can start, and then Sebastian can add to it. I think just having a sponsor, you don't necessarily need a sponsor at the level of Patty Watson, senior executive, to get started. You just need a sponsor who's willing at that level to help ensure that you have the sponsorship and resources to get started. And again, I think the 3 steps that Seb talked about, the identifying change agents, identifying opportunities, and having some form of validation process can be done within smaller areas of the company just as a proof of concept.
Agreed, absolutely.
Great. And then we've got one here from Isabel. Can you use the tool? So Michael, this will be specifically for you, change profiles and basically configure it to handle other use cases, which is a great question. We've talked about continuous improvement today, but can this be configured to handle any use case?
Yeah, very, very good question, and a question we get a lot. This is the power of the tool, that every organization has multiple use cases. You have continuous improvement, you have innovation, you have maybe open innovation. I mentioned supply chain management or supply chain innovation. There's so many different use cases. In terms of radical or disruptive innovation, using a methodology like design thinking, and wanting to scale that across an organization is very, very difficult. And the software enables you to run multiple use cases in parallel, start small, start big, like some of our customers, and start, with everything around engaging the whole organization, or maybe only start small and slowly grow. But it can you can have multiple audiences, multiple languages, up to 40 languages, multiple use cases, and obviously multi-tenancy, which allows you to engage, give different departments or countries their own homepages.
Okay, and just to be fair, there is one, it's a easy one, I think, for Sebastian and team. What was the rate between low-hanging fruit ideas and bigger ideas? Was it mainly a call to action for ideas on waste? Is that what you were referencing?
When you start, remember that this process, in the case of TSYS, had like 2 stages. When you start using the wow process with the software, I think that changes the rates, because then you got more people collaborating, and not just through sessions. But there were a lot of fast tracks, what we call fast tracks or quick hits. That was a lot. Which is great, because you can actually show changes. Yeah. Even like James mentioned in a part of the presentation, that was something really interesting, that sometimes in a company like TSYS, which is it's a big company, it operates in different places, markets, cultures, etc. People just don't know that there are things going on in different areas. So sometimes it's a matter of communication, and maybe they have this pain point, and we just have to let them know that some other area is working on that. So that's kind of level one. Level two are the fast tracks that nobody's working on it, but you just need to make a decision and you're good to go. And then the complex one. But the rate, James, you can help us with percentage-wise. It obviously is heavier on the fast tracks, but
yeah, that's right, Seb. If I had to just throw out a number, I'd say probably 2 to 1, maybe. And what we found is sometimes we go down the path of the complex projects, and they're really just a set of fast tracks, and vice versa. But I think you hit the main point that the fast tracks are really important because speed equals engagement. The faster you can make the change, the more engaged the team members are going to be.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it, and obviously we've got more questions. What we'll do is I will make sure Sebastian, Michael gets those questions, and they'll respond to them directly. But I just want to thank everyone specifically for joining. You've seen some great best practices shared specifically around culture, around processes. One thing to keep in mind, we will be reaching out in the next day or two because you're all entitled to and will receive, again, a 30-day personalized pilot where Sebastian and myself and our Q Markets team will be involved. And again, that's no cost to you. We'll set that up for you, and we're going to customize that for you. So again, thank you to the speakers, and thank you for everyone who joined today. And we look forward to talking to you at our next series.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.